Everybody in here now knows. We appreciate your contribution, brother. I just was simply asking for a little reset. That's all.
So we're talking about making America great again. Shout out to Jim Crow. So like these bills and these executive orders, what's going on with deportation? Yeah, and it's only been what, 6 months? Life is great. Let me go ahead and look up an article real quick, and maybe we can have a conversation on that.
Well, Betty, basically we have a basic problem here. At least in a shot, the link of very, very great book. I hope that all of you going to have a look at this book. Its name is Legacy.
F-words don't vote.
It is mental to fix up.
F-words don't vote. They just wing them. These rainbow F-words don't vote. They just wing them.
Supposed to be meeting with the NATO Secretary General. I'm trying to see if I can find anything right now. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, good morning. It's been extremely entertaining these last couple of days. I've been on the floor laughing. These people are entertaining.
You're just as
man. Yeah, I do great.
Just so you know.
In situations, I get cursed. Y'all showed him more grace than y'all showed me. Y'all cursed me out in 30 seconds. What's going on with that? But I'm gonna say this. Yeah, Trump is about to make a major announcement tomorrow about the Russia situation. I think it's pretty bad. But,
yeah, it is.
All of it is interconnected. All of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's
we're facing world-changing order, in case you guys. So this whole war in UK, Russia, Palestine, whatever, everything that's happening, it's world-changing order. So like the U.S. reserve currency the reserve currency has been the U.S. for so fucking long, and as of now, like the elections that we had faced and everything, actually Trump was supposed to be out of chair, but the only thing that saved him was this crypto techno world. So that's why Elon Musk is in there. So actually, it's like this economic war between who's the strongest and who's better, China or the U.S. And in between is all of like these wars that they profit off of. So they're profiting off of the war in Gaza. They're profiting off of the war in Ukraine. The U.S. is gaining money that way. They're profiting off of the protests. It's like these things are done intentionally for us to face the chaos, and it's a rise of divide and conquer between the Arabs and the Muslims. I mean, the Jews and the Arabs. It's a rise in between the black and the white. It's a rise between the Hispanic and whatever. It's like they're creating more racism between us. So this fight that he said he was laughing on the floor, of course it's fine, because like we're all fools because we're giving them the power by acting like this. Like the power is within us and how much you educate yourself. So like I'm just trying to find a group where people know things. Anyways, that's what I have to say.
So, yeah, agreeing. But I just think people are worried about, the biggest issue right now is for me is trying to calm down the situation between the United States and Russia right now. And with the uptick of Russia going all in on Ukraine in the last 4 or 5 days, and this major announcement tomorrow, we know that here's the thing. In my mind, Trump said he's going to make peace with Putin and Iran, and he's free. Whatever. That's great. But here's the bad side. When you got like Putin is Putin. When you got somebody like Trump, who's like an egotistical maniac, whatever, and how he is sometimes. If they kind of butt heads and get into like a real, spat in the feud, it's not going to be good. So, I'm very interested in what's going to happen tomorrow. And unfortunately like this too, older men are the most dangerous men on earth. They don't have a lot to live for. And when you have world leaders like Trump, so he's knocking at the door, Putin is knocking at the door, Biden too, the Chinese guy too, unfortunately, human history has a history, right, of wars, and that's just the humans.
Do you think that Trump wants a weaker dollar so that, there's been talks about that to boost exports? Like, I don't know if he's doing this purposely, but he is weakening the dollar.
I think he's definitely.
Well, it goes to BRICS. BRICS started 3.5 years ago or something like that. When war really started, Russia, Iran, Brazil, South Africa. There was a big push of gaining momentum to not use the American dollar.
Yeah, but some of those people are warring with each other and they don't agree with each other ideologically, so they don't pose any real threat to America, so that's not a good point.
Brother, you have Tanzania and Namibia and Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, all these countries that I nominated, all of them, they stop the using of dollar. If you want to buy something, you want to sell something, you have to use the currency. Okay?
He's right.
Ash, the biggest one was the patriot.
Yeah, but ain't nobody trust BRICS. Like,
No.
y'all act like the Chinese yuan is freely convertible. That shit is crazy. Y'all going too far now.
The
biggest
tariff change and everything, like why we're facing increasing goods, gas, inflation. It's like impossible to live alone here. They have to have like 5 people living in one house. That is because the whole world is changing their ties and relationship with the United States as they are uncovering the system, the oppressive system that they do. Like they're profiting off of like people who live in America.
Yeah, but the is still
the
going to be
currency
deeply
between
entrenched.
China and Russia has been changed. So like the trade, the imports, they're not using U.S.
You kind of.
U.S. currency. They're using like another currency. So that's hurting America. That's hurting us. That's hurting.
Currency?
Huh?
Who's using another currency?
It's a local
Ash. Be more specific.
Russia wouldn't be using our currency, right? Because of all the sanctions.
In trades, they do, yes, but as of
I got it in trade, but that's because of we got it when it comes to trade. I'm talking about like if you even think BRICS is a thing, then y'all are fucking mistaken.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest. But anything that's not that.
That's the point, man. You should listen. They be trying to tell you. So when BRICS formed, the biggest impact that BRICS had and influence is Saudi Arabia. I'm not the best person to explain how important the petrodollar is. Man, wait till I finish.
I'm just saying.
Wait till I finish. So the dropping.
I don't need to know what a BRICS is. Any new system, the whole system of Saudi Arabia is a Wahhabism. It's not an Islamic country. They're the ally. Everything is interconnected. So, like, what are you trying to say that the whole BRICS was what you're
Listen, stop. First of all, nothing's gonna happen to the dollar right now. It is weakening, but like
there is no value. There's no gold.
Okay, so regardless of the fact, like commodities are priced in what? U.S. dollars. So trading is going to be in dollars. Until that changes, right now it's U.S. dollar.
It's actually cryptocurrency. They're doing it through digital. They're making you say that. Actually, so don't like you can read articles.
Patty, what's going on, Patty? What is happening on this
I
stage
have
right
no
now?
idea.
I don't know. I'm just communicating with you guys. But then someone brought in Saudi Arabia
Listen,
for
you can
something
take it
about
down
BRICS
to
that I
nonsense
wasn't.
Sunday morning. There ain't no need to get loud, Lord.
Habibi, I'm not loud. I'm
Yeah,
just
you're
like, right on
loud.
the phone.
But also,
This is all a deflection to an intelligent conversation because you guys are incapable of having one.
You're right.
Sorry.
We
well,
are.
listen.
We are.
I'm gonna
Just
stop
let it
talking,
have it.
but I was listening
You're
in.
right.
I've never.
Hey, you're right. I agree with you. What's your name? I'm Eldad.
I'm
I'm
not
okay.
just this white person. You can just say I agree with you. Just a
No,
white
no, no.
person. We're all
being
supposed
honest.
to.
I'm being honest.
There are people fucking dying.
We're not capable of having an intelligent conversation with you.
And then when I okay, yeah.
No, well, I was saying.
I love this room.
When I mentioned I didn't know about BRICS or something, I said that's kind of irrelevant because the system, and someone was like, well, that's what you're not listening. So I'm over-explaining myself, but yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop.
Well, then your takes also have the responsibility of being sensible, and they are not because you don't understand them in context. So what you may be saying flatly is correct in some way, but contextually it is not, which shows that you really don't understand the fullness of what you're talking about.
No, I just don't have the right term.
Well, because you don't understand. When you understand, you can explain it fluently. You don't understand what you're talking about.
So you guys are comfortable attacking anybody?
It's not an attack, dear. It's an observation. I don't know why you all assume that people are attacking you because they're correcting you. You don't understand what you are talking about in context. Is that more plain?
I'm sorry, you're here.
That shouldn't be offensive to you. What you should do is use that as an opportunity to, I don't know, maybe go find out what the fuck you're talking about so that you can come back and explain it fluently. Please do not get caught up in my frustration. You have earned this. So because you keep telling us that we don't understand it, it is clear that you are the person who does not understand what you're talking about.
Okay, so now we're just pointing fingers. I have BRICS written right here. I'm looking it up right now. Like, I don't have a problem with learning.
Then don't present yourself as an expert on something and tell others that they don't understand when you are obviously the person who doesn't get it.
But what? Okay, I hear you. But what wasn't? And what was it? Just so then we can move on. I can shut up. What was it where I said I had? What was the point that I had said that you guys don't understand? That's the part I want to know.
You just said we're incapable of having an intelligent conversation with you. So I don't know. What does that mean to you?
No, I was saying. Well, first of all, I'm not putting anyone down. Someone said something starting in Saudi Arabia, and I asked what the intention was. And I was like, well, Saudi Arabia, to be
So if I tell you that we're unable of having an intelligent conversation with you, that's not putting you down.
Okay, well, I apologize for saying that. I was just talking about the person who was saying something about Saudi Arabia and saying that people have a
It just so happens that you were talking to the person on the stage who probably understands more than the rest of us. That's the irony in this. She understands more than most of us on the stage do about what you're talking about.
That's probably true. I wasn't talking to.
No, there's no probably. There's no probably. She does. So that's what I'm saying. It would behoove you to listen. She was trying to share with you, but you then insulted her, whether you admit that or not. You insulted everyone.
I will admit that I insulted the individual that talked about Saudi Arabia. That's what I was talking about. I probably cut her off when she talked about her. I don't understand, but whoever was speaking, I don't see her name here. I definitely apologize because I'm here to actually just communicate, collaborate, and to listen and learn. So we can all do that with each other. That's my philosophy, and that's who I am. So I'm not going to back down and just, but anyway, that's what I wanted to point out.
Go ahead, Nathan. Talk about
All right, so what I was saying, is this, right? So BRICS was started, and through that influence, Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right? And there was a president, I forgot who he was, probably decades ago, and he stated how important, I'll just read it up on it, watching documentaries, whatever, but he was saying how important the petrodollar was to the United States. And somebody more, can explain it better than I can, how important that is for the United States. And actually, since I follow the dollar almost every other 2 days, it is getting weaker because I do travel to Mexico, United States a lot. So I think it was like at $20, around 20 or 19. It's at 18 right now. I checked yesterday. I was like, oh, it is dropping. So, I mean, who knows? But yeah, that's all I was saying about it. That I do think that any type of challenger is going, no matter who the president is, right? When you have an organization like BRICS, it's gonna get the attention of the United States, regardless of whoever president, and they're going to see it as a threat. And if you try to affect the value of the American dollar, right, they will see it as an extreme threat. We've seen countries like Argentina, Venezuela, those type of countries like that, their dollar dropped in value, right? And it pretty much that can pretty much kill a country. So yeah, I mean, I think that Trump did talk about it before he was elected and address Brexit specifically. And I think that he said he's going to eliminate it and stop it before he. I mean, this was like 8 months before the
I
election.
have a question, Nathan. Who told you that Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar? Was that you?
I think he was reported a few years ago. Now that they follow through with it.
Why they still price oil in USD?
Well, I mean, it was in the news that they was going to drop it. Now, what percentage of it? And they're going to drop it completely? I didn't check up on it recently. That was about the last time I heard about it was when it was reported.
Yeah, they haven't dropped it.
But did you see that it was going to drop it?
Do you see it on TV when they talk about how many US dollars per barrel?
Let me look it up.
There's been fake news about it, Patty, but we don't. Who knows the difference between fake and?
Yeah, I think maybe countries will say things like, "Oh, I'm going to do something," and they don't follow through.
And they don't. All these countries older than the U.S. supposed to be more savvy, but who still has the world currency? Who still holds it?
All right, I have a question if you guys want to.
Okay, go ahead. I wasn't talking.
Oh no, I didn't mean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I was just like, so what does that mean in the? Because I'm curious. For the U.S., what does that mean if another country is saying that we're dropping? What does that mean? What is it? Lowering the prices on the oils or something.
I mean, when you process that slowly, now you said BRICS, and it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, right? And they dropped the whole South America is in there. You got four nations and a whole continent. Y'all processing that? 4 nations and a whole continent. And then Donald Trump, we're going to break up stuff. Hey, you don't have no influence to like that. See what it is, they get, when people get power, when they get bombs and guns in their hands, I noticed white boys on the playground, and you get somebody pissed, they would behave differently when they had gone. When they had a big mob with them, they would behave a little different. They would flex when they had their boys with them. And then humble themselves when they were outnumbered, or if it was a fair fight now, just a fair fight. Just think about that. You got Brazil, Russia, countries, right? India, China. Think about that. And then old South America.
Okay, she asked a question and it ain't had nothing to do with BRICS. It had 100% to do with what would happen if you said something about what would happen if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right?
Yeah, I guess the countries that you guys were talking about, like you asked, you just said like, I think they just dropped the prices on oil. So I was like, okay, what does that mean in relationship to the U.S.? Like, how does that affect the two countries?
Basically, the quality of oil is when you deal with Iran and Saudi Arabia, it has a quality of petroleum. The main line goes from Iran to China, and Saudi Arabia has a lot of
about the global market. It's going to affect the global market. We can just talk about price at this moment, brother.
I think you know, but at this point I won't be long, but I will be strong. Now, Saudi Arabian oil is the thing that there's a lot of controversy because of the politics of Saudi Arabia and the quality of the petroleum oil that comes out of the ground. That's what makes them rich and flex and the Arabs and etc. But on that strength, America uses that oil to keep a certain balance in the trade market, etc. When that affect your price at the gas and diesel pump. Those are the things that what they're squabbling over most of the time. So, to keep them as a partner, in other words, that there were certain moves that were made between Saudi and America, and then the execution of the journalist that time. And again, Donald Trump was in office for that one. So anything that we do or they do towards each other is going to affect the market, what you're spending per gallon and what you're spending for milk, eggs, the very basic the staple food market in your house. So that market will be affected by the political relationship between America and Saudi Arabia. And I'll let my plan on the facts as you know them to be.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah.
Can I pick up on him?
Don't unmute.
It won't take long. Specifically, I'm, if that's the name that, the relation largely comes down to the cost of producing oil in the United States. If it is reduced to such a degree to where it becomes unsustainable to produce oil in the United States, that causes a problem with domestic production of oil in the United States. Right? So, which is a strategic commodity for the United States. Other countries that have a larger portion of the oil market can do that. I'm not going to say unilaterally, but without the United States. And they have done this at different times to make it less sustainable for domestic U.S. production. This was different. The math changed a little bit with the innovation of fracking, which reduced the cost of producing oil in the U.S. From $60 to about $40. I don't know, it's some wording. Anyway, but the point is it reduced it quite significantly by almost about a third.
That wasn't her question.
And so,
Dark, I'm going to repeat her question. She said if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, like, what would happen? She wants to know what would happen.
oh, if she dropped the petrodollar,
Right, because,
they would lose significant degrees of market access and probably weapons access.
But what would happen globally? Like, make it make sense, because we were talking about the U.S. dollar, right? And the demand for the U.S. dollar, why there's a demand. But she was saying, and someone else brought up, we got rid of the petrodollar, which is not true. They're still trading oil in USD. So the thing is, she asked, well, how would that affect, like, if they did drop the petrodollar?
They cannot. Here is the problem, though. They cannot drop because the U.S. dollar controls the market. Even the Saudi.
Right, 100%.
They will not try to do that. Then they will lose.
And if they did that, who would they shift over to? China? Like, you know what I'm saying? That would be the only other geopolitical shift they'd be able to go to. They'd have to go to a yuan-based price. And the problem with yuan-based pricing is how fucking China fluctuates their money. So, like,
China, if you guys see now China cannot come in this market to try to fight American dollar. They don't have that much. Yeah, they have this, but they will not US dollar.
Can I have the mic 1 minute, please? I need to explain you something that
you starting to give him my nerves. Go ahead.
Hey, can I go after him?
Go ahead after him, Michi. Go Michi, because I don't think Americans talk.
Okay. Yeah, so my take on it is basically what would happen globally, like just the global economy. First of all, the demand for U.S. dollars would go down. The only reason why there are, a lot of countries requiring U.S. dollars is because of the fact that, global energy commodities are, priced in U.S. dollars. That's not the only reason, but just for this, because there are a whole lot of financial transactions that are denominated in U.S. dollars that have nothing to do with, petroleum products. But for the sake of this, if that's no longer the case, then the demand of the U.S. dollars will be reduced. We know that,
in economics, whenever the demand for something reduces, then the price of that thing will also reduce. So if these multinationals and governments no longer need as many dollars as they used to in order to settle transactions in like global trade, then they wouldn't keep as many dollars like in their treasury. The countries would reduce their holdings of dollar foreign reserves, which would then reduce again, not just the price of the dollar, but countries' dependence on the dollar and the U.S.'s influence in those countries. The most that, and I agree that I really think that's unlikely. So I agree with Patty, and I think it was somebody else, I think it was American, that said that it's not going to happen. As Patty said, there's still quoting oil barrels in terms of dollars. I don't think that that's going to stop. The most that they can do is what BRICS is trying to do with any other commodity. So in that case, oil is not necessarily special. So for the BRICS members, what they're trying to say is, hey, when we are trading amongst each other, then let's use our own currency. When when a BRICS country is trading directly with the BRICS country, they're trying to eliminate that trade being done in dollars. So if Saudi Arabia is selling China oil, then they're proposing, okay, let's quote those barrels of oil in yuan when we're selling to China. Let's quote it in rubles when we're selling to Russia, something like that. I hope that answers your question.
Normal, let's do a time to reading and show Sam how much of the plan is.
The other thing is this: BRICS is not something to be worried about. If folks actually read the BRICS treaty, there is nothing in there that actually enhances the countries that belong to the alliance at all. Nathan, who thinks otherwise, is incapable of finding me where in the treaty it actually enhances the nations within the alliance itself. If you actually look at the language of the alliance itself, there is nothing that actually creates a shared trade bloc, for example, such as the EU. There is nothing that establishes a shared defensive framework or paradigm between these countries. Essentially, all of the deals that happen within these BRICS nations is bilateral. By that I mean between only one country and one other country. Right? Nathan likes to suggest China. Indeed. Now, the only reason why someone would suggest that China would command the BRICS is if they have zero understanding of India's actual relationship with China as it is on the ground. Chinese animus within India is still alive and well, has been alive and well. I've seen this personally with my own government meetings, but you don't even have to do that. You just have to look, for example, at the Eastern Ladakh region, where you have Indian and Chinese soldiers literally coming to fisticuffs. Right? They're building competing dams on the same river. Why would these actions happen amongst two countries which are ostensibly allies? Why would India enter into, for example, the Quad defensive framework, which directly challenged China's claim to sovereignty in the Pacific Ocean, while India doesn't have any sort of defensive framework or shared paradigm with China at all, and never has? If you further look at the BRICS, basically one half of the BRICS has a significant geopolitical difference with the other half of the BRICS, right? Are we going to see Iran and Saudi Arabia agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see Turkey and Greece agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see, I already said India, China. I mean, like, are we going to see Egypt and Ethiopia agree on a shared currency? If you think that they will, I would recommend looking up the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and how they've gone through about 12 years of failed negotiations on equitable uses of the Nile. The BRICS is nothing but a surface level hedge, and if you actually look at the treaty itself, is vaporware.
Yeah, but they are trying to come up with their own digital currency. You know, China.
They've been doing
the
currency thing every other year. Like, it's never gonna happen.
Dude, so, okay, go ahead. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, they claim that they're coming out with a currency every
I
one and
got
a
it,
half
but
years.
China is currently working on Project Enbridge, right? Have you heard about that?
Again,
Right now,
maybe
they're
it's
testing it.
evidence
I mean,
for
regardless of the
second
fact, they're testing it right now. Like UAE, Saudi Arabia, and China, they're doing a cross-border digital currency settlement. They're doing their settlements.
No.
never gonna like that.
Can I inject?
And most
UAE will not. UAE is the part of have a agreement with U.S. Turkey is part of alliance of NATO. It's the part of U.S. So it will be so difficult. I will just say this. I think maybe after some time of generation to come, I don't know what we talking right now, 20 years or 30 years we talking about that China will be able to push through, or Russia will push through. There will be no at any time soon. In the 20, in the 30, will push through whatever currency they want to come to try to say that they want to go against U.S. dollar or U.S. power in the region. That anyone that think about that, then you totally 100% maybe you don't understand. That it will not happen. Even Turkey and Saudi and UAE, even their richness, if they came through U.S. dollar. There can be no way at any point, at any time. If we're talking 100 years from now, I can buy with you guys. But we're talking about 20, 30, please. That don't make no sense.
Gaddafi tried, and Saddam Hussein tried. Everybody tried to overthrow the dollar. It's not going to happen.
And what happened to them? They got killed. So here is the point. They cannot try. Saudi cannot. Saudi, the U.S. is sitting right. U.S. is protecting Saudi. UAE is being protected by the U.S. Turkey is also being protected by the U.S. Where are we going? There is no way at any point, at any time, at anywhere. So U.S. dollar always, and okay, let's just say for example, if let's go to auction, right? If whoever bid more money, U.S. dollar bid more than the rest of these countries, right? U.S. dollar is very secure. U.S. dollar have a power behind it. Nothing cannot. So unless you got that, are we talking about 50 years from now? Okay. But after that, then maybe Turkey, if Turkey want to go to China or go to Russia, I don't know, Turkey, there's no way that Turkey will leave NATO. There's no way UAE will try to go anywhere. What other countries? Saudi, what is that? Saudi Arabia, there's no way. They could reach even their oil. U.S. have more oil actually, if you guys seen that, but U.S. don't want to use their oil because they're bidding outside. So that point that these people are going, or the world order will be changed at any time soon, it's not changing.
Well, American, I think, real quick, Doug, I think we should just be cautious before we say, something is never going to happen or something is impossible. I do think that it's probably more reasonable to say that just like, geopolitically, we're moving to an era where there's not going to be just one undisputed superpower. We're going to have kind of like multipolarity where we have heavyweights, one heavyweight in each region. That might be the way that it is going to be with the dollar as well. Again, I don't see the dollar just disappearing as the world's reserve currency because there are a lot of transactions that go between two countries that have nothing to do with BRICS, and there has to be a third-party currency that both of those counterparts in those transactions, are comfortable dealing with. I think there are a whole lot of geopolitical issues, as I don't know who was speaking before. I think it was Dark that was saying that that would be a challenge to BRICS. We can just acknowledge that the enemy of your enemy isn't always your friend. All of these people are, coalescing just on the premise that they don't like the U.S. That doesn't necessarily mean that they do like one another. And like those border skirmishes that he was talking about, even just the quest for dominance in Asia. India is a growing, economy. They're not trying to step aside and just default to China. Russia, they have their own pride, their own ego. Putin is just really kind of leaning on China now because he needs to, because, he's a war that is unpopular. He has a whole lot of heavyweights that are opposing him. That doesn't necessarily mean that, he's fine, with China being the big dog on campus, and BRICS as it is. If they drop the currency, they're still going to be a dominant force. We know that China is going to be expected to be that dominant force, financially, as far as how the currency, will go. I'm not sure everybody wants to, cede their sovereignty, so to speak, to China, with these issues. So there are internal challenges. I won't say that, something is impossible. The BRICS bloc can definitely challenge the U.S. dollar. Will they be able to eliminate the U.S. dollar? I don't think so. Another thing that people have to think about, like I was mentioning earlier, are like financial transactions that have nothing to do with commodities or anything else, and also, people sometimes simplify the value of the U.S. dollar by saying, oh, it's our military. It's because we have 100 and however many bases in these countries and we're pretty much forcing them. It's not as simple as just kind of boiling it down to, neo-imperialism. When people are choosing the currencies that they maintain their foreign reserves in, they're looking at how stable those countries are. They're looking at the rule of law in those countries. They're looking at the property rights laws and stuff that are enforced. The general transparency that they perceive those respective governments to operate with. That's when they're comfortable. That's when they decide which currencies that they're comfortable, keeping their foreign reserves in. That's not always the case with China. People can't really tell, what's going to happen with China as far as even internally, how stable their society is, the fact that they manipulate their currency so much and they don't really let it flow freely in the market. These are other factors that people use, in order to determine where their savings are going to lie in. And these are also challenges that I would say are presented against any BRICS currencies' potential of just completely overtaking the dollar.
And BG, you made great points. And let me just say this, right? I'm not saying it was created. You have to understand why a thing was created first to understand what the objective is, whether it is what's on paper. It was created because the high sanctions on Russia and other nations looked at it like, wait a second, if they can do this, because other nations looked at it as like a local conflict from Ukraine and Russia. That's like Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, so they looked like, okay, that's a local type of issue. And look how many sanctions were put on them, right? That was the spark of it. Everything is not going to be plain written out on paper. Their objective, that's not even a wise thing to do. But we do know that the number 2 and 3 most powerful country in the world, that was, the United States being one, is Russia and China, right? So, I don't think that it's a new thing, right? And, it's hard to predict what the future is going to be. But to say, I think it's a little bit of ego saying, oh, this can never happen. Well, the biggest dog, and, when you have that type of ego, when you think you're invincible, right? And then one day you fall hit your face, you're going to wonder what happened when the signs were on the ball. Now, that's all I'm saying about it.
Firstly, we need to look at a little bit of history here. The suggestion that BRICS was created as a result of the sanctions in Russia is patently false. BRICS was created in 2006 as an alternative to U.S.-led global order. Major sanctions against Russia didn't happen until 2014. 12 years. No. Sorry, I can't do math. Less than that. 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. 8 years.
Yeah, I don't have the number.
Of like the annexation of Crimea.
Yeah, my wife is the math one in the family here. the point is that BRICS was not created because of sanctions against Russia. That is not true. There is nothing in history that actually supports that. I recommend folks the history and also read the BRICS Treaty to understand this a bit better. Amici actually had a lot of great points. Now, I will say this. If there was ever a greater argument for why many countries should abandon the U.S., Trump is doing that work for Russia and China right now far better than either of them could. Global trade, reducing confidence in the dollar, creating greater instability here at home, defending pedophiles. Well, maybe that's not one reason. I just felt like I should continue to liken Trump with defending pedophiles there, because that's what he's doing. But the point is that Trump is actually making the best argument for why countries should abandon the dollar now. Whether or not they will do that, I would still agree, of course, with Amici that at the moment it's still quite unlikely. But Trump is doing his best, it seems, to actually do that. Again, far better than China or Russia could have ever done, either together or separately. No counter arguments from the pedophile defenders here. Okay, nice.
I actually want to say something. I agree. I've been reading about it too. Like, and Amici was saying something or I don't know who stepped in. Someone said something that it's actually just used for surface. Like, it's not an actual. Like, there are deeper things to it. And I don't know if this is going off topic, but this is just my curiosity. But as of now, there's a canal being built. It's called Ben Gurion Canal. That's on the Sinaites of. I think it's on the southern part of Egypt, and it's like connected to Israel, and that's where the Suez Canal. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Which is where the import comes from China or from Yemen and towards the U.S., and that's where the channel of like transport and trade routes are. I think that because that's changing, and they're using all these different treaties. But I don't know if someone knows anything of this or if you just disregard it, but I don't know. That's what I wanted to say.
That is not moderating. Just answer the question.
You people are dumb. How is legalizing recreational marijuana? How is legalizing recreational? Hold on.